Well, hey neighbors, welcome to Matthew's yard and the outdoor shed shop work. In this video, we're going to do some cutting with a couple of saws. The first one's going to be a MS290 to MS390 conversion. It has a Chinese 390 top end on it. That's for our neighbor Pete, and Pete lives in our neighborhood, so he's a close geographical neighbor. If you guys have not seen a video I've done before, you will see that a lot of my videos, I do a little bit of an intro, share a little bit of maybe testimony, story on what I'm working on, give you guys updates, what's going on in the shed shop, tell you what I might need research help with, and just various little things. But we will get to the equipment most of the time, if not all the time. And this channel is not just strictly about equipment. We're going to do other things on the channel. And I do believe my spirits were lifted today by one of the neighbors we featured on the channel, his saw. Derek Murphy, sir, thank you so much, brother, for the call today, this morning. You guys, I was in bed 5 hours, fighting, saying, no, I just got to stay in bed until I fall asleep. The right shoulder really bothering me, the back and neck really bothering me. In the mind, unable to shut off because there's so many projects to do. There's so much money I have available to recoup the losses that I currently have investing in the shed shop. And sometimes it keeps me awake at night, and oftentimes I just don't stay in bed. I'm like, well, if I can't sleep, I'm not going to waste my time in bed. And maybe I need to remember back to my childhood. My daddy used to tell me, because even as a child I struggled, and we'll get into the stories of why I think I have insomnia another day. But even as a child I struggled. And my daddy would tell me, he would chastise me for reading on school nights at late in the night. He would be up unable to sleep, probably because my daddy was stressed, because he was 21 trying to raise 2 children with a wife that was starting to go in a bad direction. And so for the cards my daddy was dealt, he didn't do perfect, but he did a good job. But anyways, he would tell me, even if you're not sleeping, you need to rest. And so sometimes I do try to keep that concept, and if I don't sleep, at least I rested for 5 hours, hopefully, not staring at a phone screen and just contemplating the creator of the universe, and trying to compartmentalize all of the different things. You guys out there, neighbors, you know, life is busy. My life is far less busy than a lot of people's, but it's still very, very, very busy. I'm just a single guy, and take a man like my father, my pops, for example. Still has many children at home, and he's been a single dad for a very long time, working very long hours, plus doing Boy Scouts and football and dances and band recitals and all the stuff that all you parents know what I'm talking about. Derek Murphy knows. We talked about that a little bit today. And so basically what I want to say about Derek is, you guys, he called me. I had fallen asleep about 8:30 or 9 in the morning, and I just thought, you know, I'm starting to learn to slow down. I'm putting the pressure on myself. Not one of my neighbors that has their stuff here has once complained about the time that it has been here. They've all been very patient. And again, you guys, some stuff is in and out while the customer's here. If you just broke a fuel line or something and you want to hang out while I fix it, sure. We'll charge you the tiny fee that I charge you, you know, if you want to make the donation for it, and then we'll fix you up and send you on your way. I don't mind doing that when I have time. But other stuff, like, for example, I have an 028. Gentleman, Mike, brought it in, and he brought me 3 saws. And I did tell Mike 4-week lead time. That's about where I'm at right now, 4 weeks. Even if it just needs a basic service, it could be up to 4 weeks. That's how busy I am. Praise the Lord that I'm that busy with neighbor stuff. And praise the Lord that neighbors are continuing to trust me. And so, but when I diagnose something, if it's something very simple, as I'm doing the diagnosis, that you just need your carb rebuilt and you just need it tuned up, when I put it on a vac pressure test, if there's no air leak, we're gonna tune it up real quick, and we'll go cut with it and see if any problems present. With Mike's, he came a long ways to pick his saws up. I told him I still got to tune them in, so it shouldn't be a problem. He's like an hour and a half out, and I had run both saws. Anyways, the 028 started presenting problems, and I've explained in other videos, just because you do a vacuum pressure test does not mean there's not an air leak. Things are moving around, things happen, and so we don't know what's wrong with his saw yet, but I tore his top end down, We kept his labor at what we had quoted him for and what his bill was going to be if he picked the saw up that day, and that will not change. If it needs a little $10 part, he's not going to be charged. I don't mind doing stuff like that, you guys. I'm not out here trying to make a killing. I hate money, but I need it to survive. I need it to fix my house that's falling apart. I need it to make repairs to other things around here that are in disarray, and I can't grow food here yet, and so I need it to buy the disgusting food at the grocery store. So anyways, that's that. Derek lifted my souls up today because he called me. My phone, I thought I put it on silent. I'm glad I hadn't. My phone rings. I had only been asleep maybe an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes, and it's Derek Murphy. And he had viewed the videos on his Jonsered CS2255. We've got 2 posted right now. And hi, neighbor. And I loved it, man. This guy, you guys, it's March. His stuff has been here since before Christmas. Okay, that's how long his stuff has been here. He brought 2 saws. One we kind of figured was going to be, I'll look into it, and if we can't get it fixed, he'll let me keep it for the parts. That was a CS400, and I'm still not ready to give up on that saw. It's doing something similar to what Derek's other saw was doing. And I don't know if that one got stored. I don't think it did get stored. It had rancid gas, if I remember right. It was just a saw he had been given or something. I don't remember the story, but Derek hopefully sees the video and will comment what the story is on that CS400. But anyways, so he says, I'm not calling about the saw. Let's not talk about the saw right now. I'm not here for that. I'm calling you a little bit about the videos, but he says, I'm not calling for any other point, brother, than to encourage you. And guys, I'm a emotional man. I am. I'm overly sensitive, unfortunately, and my emotions are just always, I'm just very passionate. And so if I'm upset, excited, whatever, I get elevated. My voice gets elevated. Sometimes people think I'm mad because I'm talking loud. I'm just passionate. And so then Derek and I talked, I don't know how long, probably a good hour. And he just really, rejuvenated my soul with his brotherly love, his Christ-like brotherly love. And I mean, that was the point. And what he had called for, I told him honestly, after all we talked about, I said, Derek, the one thing that I can pick out of this phone call that just elevates above everything else is what you said in the beginning. I'm just here to encourage you. And he told me, you didn't do me dirty. I've never have felt any malice against you. I had sent a text out. I had 8 neighbors stuff here at the time. I've got more than that, but a few weeks ago, and I had sent the text out saying that I needed to take some time off to fast and pray, and that I apologize. I tried to wrap everybody's stuff up as best I can before and get them their stuff back, but pushing too hard to do that instead of stopping and seeking the Lord first when I'm spiritually thin. I am a believer, you guys, in the Creator of the Bible, and so Derek was not quite sure if I was calling it raps. Derek knew my testimony of being a former drug addict. He wasn't sure if, and so essentially he just asked me very kindly in a text message, hey, when can I come get my saw back? Because if they're both trash, I really want my bar and chain is what I care about more than anything. He does have a very nice, I think, advanced cut Oregon that he had on his Jonsered, and it's not cheap, you guys. But I told him, I said, hey, Derek, you know, this was on maybe a Friday. I said, I'm going to be back at it Sunday. I just needed some time off, and I'm going back to work Sunday, which for me is Saturday evening, a little after sunset. And I usually work through the night and then all day Sunday and do paperwork Sunday night, and then try to get my schedule to where I can fall asleep again and be so tired that I wake up early in the morning and have a normal schedule. It hasn't worked that way. But anyways, you guys, that's the jabbering part of the video. Now let's get to what saws we got in front of us. Again, Pete's MS390. It was a 290 conversion. You guys can watch the videos on that saw. This is my 025 that will soon be one of yours, neighbors. We're still working the kinks out on it. You'll see in the rebuild video, I mentioned after I assembled this, I felt that spring lever needs replaced. I've been cutting with it 100%. Got to go back in to replace that. This is hitting my hand, and I would never sell you a refurbished saw that does that. That would be dirty. not dirty, but that would just be plain messed up. We're going to see if we can't figure out why this isn't perfectly lining up. If it doesn't, we'll probably lower the price of this saw 10-15 bucks because of that inconvenience of cosmetic. And then we fixed our bar nut. In the video, you see this bar nut was turning really, really tight. The nut, sometimes I say nut or washer. You guys, I'm saying it backwards. And also, I've been saying T25 for the T27s. Most of your steel screws are a T27. I'm going to reiterate that every time I remember, because I don't want to have to go in and reinsert. Maybe we'll do it eventually. I think I'm going to have some editing help now, somebody that's experienced with it. I'm going to keep that information private for now. But you guys will see I don't have the AV buffs in here, the stops, those plugs, and that's because it can be very hard to disassemble stuff. If I can leave something out of my way, I will. This just had dirty threads. That was it. Now, one thing, when you guys see me breaking in saws, these have both sat idle. This is how I do it. Most of the time, it's in general rule of thumb how I do it. I like to idle my saws in a very rich condition when they have a brand new piston, or I've honed a motor, or for example, this one is a brand new piston cylinder. And so if I get a brand new piston cylinder that's never been on a saw, that does have to be broken, in my opinion. And so I'll run minimum 1 tank at idle, very rich condition, usually 2, and then I like to cut with it with 2 to 4 tanks before I send it out. I'll start rich, and then as I'm cutting in wood, after about a tank, I will just turn that saw, we'll crank it all the way up. You'll see sometimes some black fluid around my mufflers on my saws while we're doing these videos, the break-in videos. That is because I run them extra rich, you guys, and these mufflers, test mufflers I usually use, aren't always the best, but that's what I don't mind keeping dirty. And we clean all that up before we send the saw out, and we put a different muffler on it typically. So we're just going to do some cutting here. I'll do my best to keep you guys in view. I don't know how much people enjoy watching people run a chainsaw, but I can tell you, I cannot believe how many hours I've sat there on my workbench and watched like Buck and Billy Ray or Tin Man and like Steve's Saloon. I hope it's legal to say these guys' channels, but they're neighbors that I'm supporting because I love most of their content. And they teach me things, you guys. I'm not a certified mechanic. I've never been to school. I taught myself. And YouTube taught me some stuff too. And that's why I'm here. I want you guys can do this stuff too. If you are mechanically inclined, I'm not artistically inclined. I can't draw Mickey Mouse. I can't draw these beautiful trees and this grass around me. Some people can do that. It astounds me. I don't know how their mind can conceptualize and put that on paper. I can't do it. So not everybody in the world might be able to do what I'm doing, but if you're mechanically inclined and you're a tinkerer, you can do it, guys. You can do it, I promise you. So enough of the talking. I'm tired of talking. I just want to cut some wood, be grateful for brothers and neighbors like Cody and Derek, you know, and Trent and the other guys I've mentioned on the channel, and Nathan. Thank you guys for uplifting me, for encouraging me, that my local community. I was in a town of 727 people, and there was no sense of support from the community, in my opinion. And so our electrical wire has been doing some weird stuff today. It's doing some noises it's never done before. Anyways, and so there's over 10,000 people in this town, and I feel more of a sense of community and support from my neighbors than I did in a town of 727 people where everybody knows everybody. So let's cut some wood, you guys. Again, I know as these saws cut, they might sound rich, they might sound lean. I do not put a tack on them until after I've done it by ear and feel and hear as I break them in. was just kind of showing the saw in case the neighbor that wants to buy this sees that. I've cut with a probably 100 to 025 MS250s. And so I love this saw. It's only 10 pounds. Power head. It weighs close to the same as an 017, 170, 018, 180. And I love those because of their lightweight. I don't love some of STIHL's setups like these handles they have, that the rear and the wrap handle, you've got to remove all that stuff to take your top end off. I don't love that. That's one thing that's easier about working on Husqvarna. The top ends are almost always so easy to get to and to remove, and you don't got to remove everything else. So I really enjoy that if you just going in and need to do a tune-up and change or a rebuild, and you're just changing your rings or something. So I have not ever cut with an MS290 Chinese top end. This saw, I ported an old muffler I had laying around. Pete's was bad. We robbed a bunch of stuff out of the shed shop for him to keep his bill low. And it's okay. It all balances out in the end, you guys. I trust it will. So we're just gonna start this saw up and cut with it. Now this has been run 1.5 tanks idling, and I think it's okay to go ahead and start cutting with it. And this is why I don't like Chinese motors. This saw is not wanting to start. It has been a few hours since I had it started up, and so I did go to start it in normal cold start position. It did get run completely out of gas, but it should have fired by now. I know this decom valve is popping out. I thought maybe it had gotten caught, but it did not. So we'll give it a whirl again here. I'm just going to open up the jet a little bit. It feels like the decom valve has not decompressed. It looks popped up, but I don't know what's going on there. But I sense that might be the problem. We might have to modify his top handle a little more for the decom. I did not ask Pete if he wanted the decom plugged or not. So we might end up changing this top handle because I knew the decom would make it easier for me. And so that might have played part in my decision to put it in. So we'll see what we do. But I suppose I got to figure out what's wrong with that, you guys. We're going to continue breaking in the 025. And we'll showcase this in another video when we figure out what's going on. We're going to go put a camera in the bore and see if there's anything messed up on his Chinese top end, because something don't feel right. Yeah, that decom valve's out, and we've lost all compression in this saw. So we got to figure out what caused that. I'd appreciate the like, the subscribe, and the share, you guys, and hit the bell so you know when we post new videos. Thanks so much.